The twin sons of Kepler. 442b cast golden ripples across the crystal shallows, where tourists gathered every afternoon to watch the bioluminescent pools glow. The shallow waters sparkled with blues and greens, a natural wonder that drew hundreds of visitors each day. Most of them were humans, cameras ready, eager to capture something unique for their social feeds back on Earth. Marcus Chun wiped sweat from his forehead as he walked along the boardwalk. His shift at the freight docks had ended early, and he decided to take the scenic route home. The crowds annoyed him, but the view was worth it. He'd lived on this colony world for 3 years now, ever since the shipping company transferred him here. The pay was good, the work was hard, and he mostly kept to himself. A commotion near the main viewing platform caught his attention. People were rushing toward the railings, phones and cameras raised high. Marcus heard excited voices overlapping. "Oh my God, is that one of them? I've never seen one this close before. Keep recording, this is amazing." Marcus pushed through the crowd, his height giving him a view over most heads. In one of the shallow recreation pools, something was moving frantically. At first, he thought it was a large fish caught in the wrong area. Then he saw the shape more clearly. It was a Velrani child. The girl couldn't have been more than 10 years old in human terms. Her translucent skin had taken on a gray tinge, and her respiratory membranes along her neck were fluttering rapidly, desperately. The pool where she was trapped had been treated with chemicals for human swimmers, and Marcus knew enough about Velrani biology to understand what that meant. The water was poisoning her. "Someone needs to help her," Marcus said, looking at the people around him. A woman next to him shook her head without lowering her camera. "We're not supposed to touch them. It's against the protocols." "She's drowning," Marcus said, his voice sharper now. A man in expensive vacation clothes chimed in. "Is she, though? Maybe this is normal for them. We don't really know how they work." Marcus stared at him in disbelief. The Velrani girl's movements were becoming weaker. Her large eyes, dark as deep water, were wide with terror. She was trying to pull herself toward the edge of the pool, but her limbs weren't made for this kind of movement. She kept slipping back under the surface. "This is incredible footage," someone else said. "My followers are going to love this." More people arrived, drawn by the growing crowd. At least 50 humans now surrounded the pool, watching. Some were taking photos. Others were recording videos, providing commentary for their streams. A few looked uncomfortable, but didn't move. "Shouldn't we call someone?" a young tourist asked nervously. "I already pinged security," someone replied. "They'll be here in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Marcus looked at the Velrani girl again. Her movements had almost stopped. The membranes on her neck had gone from fluttering to barely moving at all. He'd been a lifeguard once, back on Earth, during his university years. He'd saved exactly 3 people in 2 summers of work. The training had been drilled into him. Hesitation kills. Every second matters. Don't think about the crowd. Don't think about the rules. Just move. But that was a long time ago. This was different. This was an alien species. There were protocols, regulations, legal considerations. If he touched her wrong, if he hurt her by accident, the consequences could be severe. The colony government took cross-species incidents seriously. The girl's hand broke the surface one more time, reaching upward, grasping at nothing. Marcus made his decision. He kicked off his boots and jumped over the railing before anyone could react. The crowd gasped. Someone shouted at him to stop. He hit the water hard, the chemical smell burning his nostrils immediately. The pool was only waist-deep, but the girl had sunk to the bottom. He grabbed her under the arms, feeling her cool, smooth skin against his hands. She was lighter than he expected. Her body convulsed once in his grip, and he worried he was hurting her, but he didn't let go. "Grab my hand," he shouted, even though he was already holding her. The words came out instinctively, desperately. Her eyes opened slightly, focusing on his face. There was no understanding there, just fear and fading consciousness. Marcus lifted her out of the water, her body limp in his arms. The crowd had gone silent. Some still held their cameras up, recording everything. Marcus ignored them all. He could see the natural tidal channels 50 meters away, where the water was untreated and safe for Velrani. He started running. Marcus's legs burned as he ran across the smooth stone pathway. The Velrani girl hung limp in his arms, her body feeling wrong, too still. Water dripped from both of them, leaving a trail behind. The crowd parted in confusion. Some people still filming, others finally lowering their devices with expressions of shame. "Sir, stop right there." A voice boomed from above. Marcus looked up to see two security drones descending, their red lights flashing. "You are in violation of Colonial Protocol 7. Put down the alien and step away." Marcus didn't stop. He didn't even slow down. The natural tidal channels were just ahead, carved into the rock by centuries of waves. He could see the darker water there, free of chemicals, alive with the microorganisms that Velrani needed to breathe properly. "This is your final warning." The drone's mechanical voice echoed across the plaza. "Stop immediately or we will be forced to detain you." A middle-aged woman suddenly stepped into the drone's path, waving her arms. "Leave him alone. He's trying to save her." The drone adjusted its position, trying to move around her. Another tourist, a young man with guilt written across his face, jumped in front of it too. "We should have helped," he said loudly. "We just stood there like cowards." More people began moving, not many, but enough. They formed a loose barrier between Marcus and the security drones. It wouldn't hold for long, but it gave him precious seconds. Marcus reached the edge of the tidal channel and dropped his knees on the wet rocks. The water here was deeper, darker, moving with the rhythm of the distant ocean. He could smell the salt, the life in it. The girl's membranes had stopped moving entirely. Her skin had gone from gray to almost white. He lowered her into the water gently, keeping her head up at first, unsure what to do. His lifeguard training was useless here. Velrani biology was completely different from human. Did she need to be fully submerged? Partially? He was guessing, and guessing wrong could kill her. The girl's body suddenly spasmed. Her eyes opened wide, and Marcus saw pure panic there. She was conscious enough to be terrified, but too weak to fight. Her mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. "Please work," Marcus whispered. "Please." He made a choice and lowered her completely under the surface, keeping his hands under her shoulders for support. For 3 terrible seconds, nothing happened. Then her membranes fluttered once, twice. They began to move more steadily, pulling the rich water across them. Her eyes focused on Marcus's face through the clear water. The panic remained, but something else joined it. Confusion, recognition of another living being trying to help. A security drone finally broke through the small crowd and hovered directly above Marcus. "Step away from the Velrani citizen immediately. You are under arrest for unauthorized physical contact with protected species." "She's breathing," Marcus said, not taking his eyes off the girl. "Just give her a minute." "Compliance is not optional," the drone stated. The girl's hand suddenly shot up from the water and grabbed Marcus's wrist. Her grip was weak but deliberate. She was holding on to him, not trying to push him away. Her membranes were moving faster now, color slowly returning to her translucent skin. "I'm not leaving her until someone from her family gets here," Marcus said firmly. The second drone arrived, this one equipped with a containment net. "You will be extracted if you do not comply voluntarily." A new voice cut through the tension. "Wait! Stop!" A tall Velrani adult came running from the direction of the transport station, her skin flashing bright patterns of distress. Behind her, 2 more Velrani followed, moving fast despite their difficulty with land travel. The lead Velrani dropped to her knees beside Marcus, her large eyes taking in the scene. She looked at her daughter in the water, then at Marcus, then at the drones hovering above. "You saved her," she said in perfect standard, her voice thick with emotion. "You pulled her from the poisoned water." "I just did what anyone should have done," Marcus replied. The Velrani woman's expression shifted to something Marcus couldn't read. "No," she said softly. "You did what only you did. Dozens watched. Only you moved." She reached into the water and gently touched her daughter's face. The girl's eyes opened wider, seeing her mother, and she began to cry, a strange whistling sound that came from her membranes. Sir, you still need to come with us, the security drone insisted. Protocols have been violated. The Velrani mother looked up at the drone, her skin flashing angry reds and oranges. This human saved my child's life while your people recorded her death. If you arrest him in front of me, and I will make certain every Velrani on this world knows what happened here today. The drone hesitated, its programming clearly not designed for the situation. Marcus felt hands on his shoulders. Human security officers had arrived, real people this time. They pulled him to his feet as the Velrani mother took over supporting her daughter in the water. We're going to need you to come with us, one officer said, not unkindly. There will be questions. Marcus nodded, watching as the Velrani family gathered around the girl, helping her, healing her with their presence. The girl's eyes found his one last time before the officers led him away. She raised one hand from the water in a gesture that needed no translation. Thank you. The detention room was small and cold, with white walls and a single metal table. Marcus sat on a hard chair, still wearing his wet clothes. They had taken his personal device, his wallet, even his work badge. A guard stood outside the door, visible through the narrow window. He'd been there for 6 hours. His mind kept replaying the scene. The girl reaching up through the water, the tourists with their cameras, the feeling of her light body in his arms as he ran. He didn't regret what he'd done, but he was starting to understand the trouble he was in. The door finally opened. A severe-looking woman in a colonial authority uniform entered, carrying a tablet. She sat across from him, without introducing herself. Mr. Chun, do you understand the seriousness of your actions today? She began. I saved a child's life, Marcus said simply. You made unauthorized physical contact with a member of a protected species. You ignored direct orders from security personnel. You incited a crowd to interfere with lawful drones. She read from her tablet without emotion. These are serious violations of Colonial Protocol 7 and the interspecies contact regulations. She was dying, Marcus said, his voice harder now. Everyone just stood there taking pictures. That is not your concern. We have trained emergency response teams for such situations. They would have arrived too late. She had maybe 2 minutes left. The woman's expression didn't change. That assessment was not yours to make. The protocols exist for good reasons, Mr. Chun. Cross-species contact can result in biological contamination, cultural offense, or physical harm. You could have injured that child permanently. Marcus leaned forward. But I didn't. She's alive because I acted. That's irrelevant to the legal question. The woman stood up. You'll remain here until your hearing tomorrow. I suggest you think carefully about your choices. She left, and Marcus was alone again. Outside the detention center, the world was exploding. The videos had spread everywhere. Within hours, they'd been viewed millions of times across both human and Velrani networks. The footage showed everything. The crowd filming, the drowning child, Marcus diving in, the drone try to stop him, the desperate run to the tidal channels. On human social networks, the reactions were violent and divided. Some praised Marcus as a hero. Others called him reckless, a protocol breaker who could have started an interspecies incident. But the worst reactions came from those who saw themselves in the crowd, who recognized their own potential to stand and watch while someone died. This is what we become, one popular commentator said in a viral video. We see tragedy and our first instinct is to record it for likes and shares. A child was drowning and we treated it like entertainment. The Velrani response was different, but equally intense. Their network showed the same videos with Velrani commentary, and the anger was clear. Velrani around the colony world spoke of betrayal, of the humans showing their true nature. Some called for immediate separation of the species, but others pointed to Marcus. One human had acted. One human had remembered that morality wasn't about species or protocols. Sherilyn, the girl Marcus had saved, lay in her family's dwelling pod, submerged in the healing waters of their home pool. Her parents sat nearby, watching her breathe, grateful beyond words. Her father, Kel Thorne, was a mid-level official in the Velrani diplomatic service. He had connections, influence. The human who saved her is in detention, His wife said quietly. They're going to charge him with crimes. Kelthorne's skin flashed dark blue, a color of deep thought. I know. This is wrong. He saved our daughter. I know, he repeated. I'm already making calls. But this is complicated. There are forces on both sides who want to use this incident for their own purposes. On the steps of the Colonial Administration building, a small group of humans had gathered. They held signs with simple messages. Humanity means helping, and he did what was right. The group was only 20 people at first, but it grew slowly throughout the evening. Among them was a young man who had blocked the security drone. He held a sign that read, I was there. I did nothing. Never again. Inside the building, officials held emergency meetings. The incident had created a crisis. The videos made the Colonial Administration look incompetent, and the human population look cruel. Something had to be done. But what? If we punish him too harshly, we look like we value protocols over lives, one official argued. If we don't punish him at all, we set a precedent that anyone can ignore interspecies regulations, another countered. A third voice spoke up. The Velrani family is requesting to meet with him. Specifically, they're invoking something called the Dead of Waters. Does anyone know what that means? Silence filled the room. Nobody knew. In his cell, Marcus finally dried out, his clothes stiff with salt. He lay on the hard bench and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. But tonight, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. That girl was alive. And no protocol, no law, no punishment could make him regret that. Marcus woke to the sound of his cell door opening. A different guard stood there, looking uncomfortable. You have visitors. Come with me. They led him to a larger room with windows that looked out over the colony. 3 Velrani waited inside, their skin shimmering with patterns Marcus was learning to read. Anxiety, determination, hope. The tallest one stepped forward. I am Kelthorne. This is my wife, Mirise. You saved our daughter. Marcus nodded, unsure what to say. Is she okay? She is recovering. Thanks to you. Kelthorne's skin flashed warm orange. We have come to invoke an old custom, the Dead of Waters. When one being saves another from drowning, our 2 families become bound. Your fate is now our concern. I don't understand, Marcus said. Mirise moved closer. It means we will stand with you at your trial. It means we will not allow the humans to punish you for saving our child. It means our family owes your family everything. I don't have family here, Marcus said quietly. Just me? The 2 Velrani exchanged looks, their skin patterns shifting. Then we are your family now, Kelthorne said, whether you accept it or not. Across the colony, in the healing waters of her home, Sherilyn floated in silence. Her membranes were working properly again, pulling clean water through her system. Her body had recovered, but her mind kept returning to those terrible minutes in the poisoned water. She remembered the feeling of her breath failing, the chemical burn in her membranes. She remembered looking up through the water at all those faces, those strange human faces, watching her die. Some had seemed concerned, but none had moved. They had just pointed their devices at her, recording. She had learned about humans in school. They were supposed to be like Velrani in important ways. They breathed different air, ate different food, but they felt emotions, raised families, cared for their young. But as she drowned, she had wondered if the teachers were wrong. Then one had jumped in. One had grabbed her, held her, run with her. She remembered his face through the water, his eyes full of fear for her. Not fear of her, but fear for her. The difference was everything. Sherilyn, her mother's voice pulled her from the memory. There are people who want to talk to you. Reporters. Officials. They want to know what happened. Sherilyn's skin flashed nervous yellow. I want to talk about the human who saved me. Marcus. We will make sure you can, her mother promised. In his detention room that evening, Marcus received his first personal device back. With limited access, messages flooded in. Most were from people he didn't know. Some called him a hero. Some called him an idiot who got lucky. Some called him worse things. One message was from a supervisor at the freight docks. You're suspended pending investigation. Don't come back until this is settled. Another was from his landlord. Other tenants are complaining. Reporters outside. You need to move out. Marcus set the device down and stared at the ceiling. He thought about his grandfather, who had raised him after his parents died. The old man had been a firefighter, had run into burning buildings when everyone else ran out. Someday you'll face a moment, his grandfather had told him once. A moment where you have to choose between doing what's easy and doing what's right. And you'll know, deep in your gut, which is which. Most people freeze in that moment. They overthink it. They find reasons to wait. Don't be most people. Marcus had never forgotten those words. When he saw Sherilyn in that pool, there had been no thought, no decision. His body had moved before his mind caught up. The next morning, they brought him to a pre-trial meeting. Lawyers he'd never met sat around a table, discussing his case like he wasn't there. The colonial prosecutor was clear. They wanted to make an example of him, to show that protocols mattered. Then Kelthorne arrived with a Velrani legal advocate. We are invoking the dead of waters, he announced formally. Under the Treaty of Shared Worlds, ancient cultural customs must be respected by both species. This human is now under Velrani family protection. The human lawyers looked panicked. Nobody had prepared for this. Furthermore, the Velrani advocate continued, we are requesting that Sherilyn be allowed to give testimony. She was a victim of the incident. She has a right to speak. The prosecutor tried to object. She's a child. This isn't appropriate. She is old enough to understand what happened to her. Mirise said firmly, she watched your people film her death. She deserves to have her voice heard. The judge, an older woman who had been silent until now, raised her hand. The trial is tomorrow. I will allow the testimony. This court needs to hear all perspectives before making a judgment. That night, Sherilyn practiced what she would say. Her parents tried to help, but she pushed them away gently. She needed to find her own words. She thought about the humans with their cameras. She thought about Marcus running with her in his arms. She thought about the moment when she grabbed his wrist in the water, the first time she'd touched a human, and how his skin felt warm and alive and safe. Tomorrow, she would tell the truth, all of it, and maybe, somehow, that would be enough. The courtroom was packed with observers from both species. Humans sat on one side, Velrani on the other, with a careful space between them. News cameras lined the back wall. Marcus sat at the defense table, wearing borrowed clothes, the Velrani family seated directly behind him. The prosecutor stood first. She presented her case with cold efficiency. Marcus had violated Protocol 7. He had ignored security commands. He had touched a Velrani child without authorization. The law was clear, she argued. Good intentions didn't excuse breaking rules designed to protect both species. If we allow individuals to decide when protocols matter and when they don't, we create chaos, she concluded. The defendant should be found guilty and sentenced to deportation from the colony. Marcus's lawyer argued about emergency situations and moral imperatives. But even Marcus could tell the words felt weak against the weight of written law. Then it was time for Sherilyn. She entered the courtroom in a mobile water chamber, a clear tank on wheels that allowed Velrani to move through human spaces. She was small inside it, her skin flickering with nervous colors. The judge asked if she was comfortable, and Sherilyn nodded through a translator device. Her voice came out soft but clear. I was lost that day. I went into the wrong water area by mistake. The water burned my membranes. I couldn't breathe. I tried to get out, but I was too weak. She paused, her skin flashing darker. I looked up and saw all the humans standing there. So many of them. I thought they would help me. The courtroom was completely silent, but they didn't move. They pointed their devices at me instead. I didn't understand at first. Then I realized they were recording me dying. They were watching me die like it was entertainment. Her voice broke slightly. I thought humans were supposed to be like us. I thought they understood about helping others. Several humans in the audience looked down at their hands. Then one human jumped in. He grabbed me and carried me. I was scared of him at first because I didn't know what he wanted, but then I saw his face and I understood. He was trying to save me. Sherilyn's skin brightened to warm gold. Marcus didn't think about rules. He thought about me. He saw me as a person who needed help, not as an alien or a problem or entertainment. She turned to look at Marcus through the glass of her chamber. In Velrani culture, we have a saying, "The extended hand reveals the true heart." Marcus extended his hand to me. He showed me that some humans still have good hearts. The judge called for a recess. When they returned an hour later, her expression was grave. "I have reviewed the law carefully," she began. "Mr. Chen did violate Colonial Protocol 7. The letter of the law is clear. However, I must also consider the spirit of the law. These protocols exist to prevent harm, not to enable it." She looked at Marcus directly. "Mr. Chen, I find you technically guilty of unauthorized contact with protected species. Your sentence is time served, plus 100 hours of community service, to be completed through cross-species education programs." The prosecutor started to object, but the judge raised her hand. This court must balance legal precision with moral reality. The alternative to Mr. Chen's actions was the death of a child while dozens of people recorded it. I will not allow the law to punish decency. The courtroom erupted in mixed reactions. Some humans cheered. Others looked angry. The Velrani observers flashed their skin in patterns of approval. Outside the courthouse, Kelthorne approached Marcus. "Our government has made you an offer. We need someone to help build a new joint emergency response system. Someone who understands that saving lives matters more than following rules." Marcus was stunned. "I'm just a dock worker." "You're someone who acts when others freeze," Kelthorne said. "That's exactly what we need." 6 months later, Marcus stood at the Crystal Shallows again. The area had been completely redesigned. Signs in both languages explained water safety. Emergency stations with proper equipment lined the paths. Both Velrani and human responders trained together here now. Sherilyn visited him often, her family having adopted him as they promised. She was learning about emergency response, determined to help others someday like Marcus had helped her. On this particular afternoon, a commotion broke out near the pools. A young human boy had wandered into water too deep for him and was struggling. Before Marcus could move, 5 people were already running toward the child, 3 humans and 2 Velrani. They reached him together, pulled him out together, kept him safe together. No one had filmed it. Everyone had helped. Marcus watched with quiet satisfaction. The phrase "grab my hand" had spread across the colony, becoming a symbol of the moment when someone chooses action over apathy. Schools taught the story. Both species used it to remind each other of their shared values. Sherilyn appeared beside him, her mobile chamber rolling to a stop. "It's different now," she said. "Yes," Marcus agreed. "People remember what happens when we just watch." A human child ran past them, laughing, chasing a Velrani youth through the safe zones they'd helped create. Their parents, both species, sat together nearby, talking like old friends. One person had jumped into poisoned water. One person had refused to stand by. And somehow, impossibly, that single action had created ripples that changed everything. "Thank you for grabbing my hand," Sherilyn said quietly. Marcus smiled. "Thank you for holding on." The twin suns set over the crystal shallows, painting the water gold and orange. In that light, it was hard to tell where one species ended and another began. They were just people, helping each other, learning to extend their hands. And that, Marcus thought, was exactly how it should be.